everyone. Welcome to Action Takers Publishing. And today we have our author interview, and I am so excited to have Legend Thurman here. Hey, Legend, how's it going?
I'm doing really well, Sally. How are you?
Great, great. I'm so happy to have you here. Why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about who you are, and then we'll talk a little bit about the books that you've been in.
Sounds good. So, my name is Legend Thurman. I am a final year Doctor of Veterinary Medicine candidate at the Royal Veterinary College across the pond in London, England. But as you can tell from my accent, I'm originally from the USA. And I'm a little unique in my circumstances that when I'm done, I actually want to go into veterinary governmental work.
That's amazing. So you were in the book Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore with us. Why don't you tell us that was your very first book, wasn't it?
It was, honestly, I didn't expect to even get into the authoring realm, if you call it, this early in life, but it was very exciting and such a rewarding experience to be with all you ladies.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that experience? How did you get into the book? Maybe a little bit about your chapter, and then what it was like working with us through that process and becoming an international best-selling author.
Oh, I'm still getting used to hearing that, but
Isn't
it
that
was
great?
absolutely, I know, it was absolutely life-changing. So, like I just mentioned, this all was not planned or on the trajectory for last year in 2021. It was the beginning of the year, back in January, and I knew because the pandemic had hit, we had gone through several months of becoming adapted to everything being online, all the Zoom calls, networking, if you will, too, in the professional realm. And I'm one of those people who can't just sit and have nothing to do for a good period of time. So I was trying to find different networking events and activities to get involved with despite the pandemic. So what happened was I found a networking event that was online in January and went to it with no expectations at all in terms of what I was going to gain for it. Was not searching for like projects specifically to be involved. And I just wanted to meet people and see what happened. And again, make connections with those others who had the same values and again, want to forward themselves personally and professionally. And while I was there, I connected not only with you, Sally, but several other women at something called the Women Action Takers Networking event, where we meet twice a month and again get to know a little bit about each other. There's usually lessons involved. And during that time, the leader, if you will, the fabulous Linda Sunshine West, kind of advertised some of the projects she was working on, and they piqued my interest because they were books. And I don't know what was giving this little voice in my head as a Legend, you want to look into this. Not because I felt I had to do it, but it piqued my interest because they were so unique with their titles. So, The Fearless Entrepreneurs and Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. So, during that time, I was like, let me reach out to her just to see what happens. And the other half of my brain was also speaking that, what are you doing, Legend? At the time, this is now much in the future, you are 24 years old. You have no business getting into books or anything of that realm. You're in veterinary school, that needs to be your priority. But I still was curious. Hopped on the call with her. And again, that voice was very much screaming at the time, like, what are you doing? You don't own a business. You don't do anything like that at this stage. But her first question to me was, what's your story? And at the time, I felt like I did have a story to tell, not only about myself, but the different chapters and transitions within my life. And lo and behold, that voice that was screaming, no, you shouldn't do this, was actually combated by the other voice in your head that I should. That was just imposter syndrome screaming at the moment. And Linda was very welcoming in terms of who I was, where I come from, my experience in life, and the fact that I was that young, because a lot of people, let's be honest, the 24-year-old came on a business call just to see what the project was about, but they probably wouldn't have even given me the time of day. So just that instant welcoming and connection in terms of personalities, value in life, and the goal for the book definitely were in alignment and parallel in terms of the work we wanted to do moving forward. And lo and behold, we're here over a year later. And the whole process during the time of the book being developed and getting published, like I said, was rewarding in not only the sense of Linda's leadership, but the essence of community that was developed. And Sally, I know you can relate to this too, but it didn't feel like it was just an assigned business project where here's your due date, submit your chapter. We'll let you know the updates in terms of when the book's going to be published and things are going to be completed and advertised. No, it was truly a community of friendship, support, and all the foundations one needs to be successful on your own terms. And that's a little hint and segue into things I talk about in my chapter, but it's absolutely true. This was a strong group of women from all different areas of life, geographically, career, you name it. And we all had something to say and learn from one another as well. So what I took away from it was, again, having the support of others, truly, not in terms of the holding your hand like a child, but the holding your hand in terms of, I'm going to guide you through this process so you can be successful, get what you want out of it, whether that is personally or professionally, and make friends and good colleagues along the way. So that was definitely the experience for me. And in terms of my chapter, so I'm chapter 16 in the Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore book. And the title of my chapter is Powerful Beyond Measure. Now, one fun fact that a lot of people know about me is I have a conglomerate of quotes I like to live by that I've extrapolated from books, movies, musicals, the Bible, you name it. And one of them is by Marianne Williamson, and it's a very long, extended quote that goes for over a paragraph. But the idea as you are powerful beyond measure came from that. And it kind of was the trajectory, how I view my transitions within life. So when I was young, through my adolescent years into now young adulthood, and as I keep progressing into my professional career within the next year and a half. And the chapter, if you will, and you'll find with all the ladies chapter, they're not only teaching lessons, but they're meant to speak to others around the world, even if it's just impacting one individual person, because that truly was the goal of the book. If we are able to connect, help, or even just share something that resonates with someone, a man or a woman, on this planet, then that makes it all worthwhile. And I truly wanted to highlight not so much the lessons, but the power of resilience, confidence, and believing in yourself as a foundation within life, because they truly are life-changing once you dive deep and take a hold of them and put them in your personal and professional toolbox. So I think I got every aspect of your question there.
There you go. Yeah, so now, like, in addition to now being in a book, you're creating your own book. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how, tell us about that book and what kind of stories are you looking for?
Sure. So lo and behold, the journey didn't stop there with the publishment of Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. As Sally just said, the fun continues. I am actually co-authoring another book with Linda called Action Takers with Healing Powers. And kind of the subtitle or main essence of the book is people who are utilizing their healing powers to change the world in some capacity. Now, when you hear the word healing powers, a lot of people think healing relates to direct hands-on medicine. So the careers you maybe would think of are doctors, veterinarians like myself, dentists, nurses, things like that. And while that is true, they absolutely provide healing. Healing is not limited to that definition of that type of medicine or those types of employments. They are absolutely expanded into the emotional, mental, other physical realms too, spiritual, but the list is endless. So some examples, but again, not limited. And in terms of my knowledge of them, you could be talking with a psychotherapist, a Reiki healer, a massage therapist, someone in the religious community for some spectrum, anything in those categories. But also keep in mind, this does not have to be someone who works in one of these employments directly. If you were someone who was influenced or impacted by someone who fits, again, within one of those categories and it's changed your life, you absolutely can tell that story as well. So how they changed your life based on what they do within the realm of healing. And I realize that's very broad and extensive, and it's meant to be that way for a reason. I don't want society to think that healing is limited. We all are changed and impacted by a plethora of individuals within our life who all have different vocations in terms of how they serve society, themselves, and others. So that's the plan for the next book.
Yeah, I know, it's so exciting, and we're so excited to have you, and I'm really looking forward to the Action Takers with Healing. There's the book cover. We had the wrong one up before, but there you go. And so, why don't you tell us a little what's next for you, Legend? What are you going to do after after now you've become this famous author, and you get your degree. What's on the horizon for Legend Thurman?
It's a little, you feel all this like conglomerate of emotions because, like I said, I'm a final year. That has induced excitement, intimidation, and all the above. So about a year out here. So what's next? I think the next chapter is going to definitely ensure some sort of employment. Let's cross our fingers. But like I mentioned before, I'm rather unique in my circumstances. When a lot of people think veterinarian, they think the standard clinical sense. So whether it's your small animal vet, possibly those on a farm in a zoo, that's usually what society thinks in terms of the perspective. But again, we're not limited to those jobs. I want to work for the government. And when I say governmental veterinary work, I don't know what particular niche yet I'm taking, especially this year as I complete my final year clinical rotations, as well as several externships and a thesis to figure out possibly where I could insert myself and make a difference. But to be honest, I could see myself being happy in any one of those departments. So that could include state advocacy work. That could involve working on a congressional level in the legislative branch for the executive branch. Anything within the public policy realm or the trade industry for veterinary medicine. And some examples for you: veterinarians can be involved in animal welfare, transportation initiatives, pharmacovigilance with anything revolving drugs or pharmaceuticals. The list honestly is endless because we like to look at that we only do not serve ourselves as veterinarians for the animals, but also people and the environment. So it's a One Health perspective in terms of what we do. So wherever I can make a difference and play a role in servant leadership where I can speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. And again, even if it only impacts a very small percentage of the population and the community of animals on this planet, that's all that matters. So that's where I definitely see myself. In terms of settling, it's most likely going to be Washington, D.C. I also like Chicago, but we'll see where the good Lord places me in the long run.
There you go. There you go. Well, we're excited to have you on this journey with us, and I know you're going to be going places. So we're just so happy to help you get started on this journey. We have a summit coming up for the Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore in a couple of weeks. And you'll be talking at that, and Linda and I will be there. So we're, that's one of the things when we do these books, we create these summits for them if the authors are decide that that's what they want to do. And so, have you written your summit talk yet? Do you know what you're talking about?
I do know what I'm talking about in the outline. It's done. It's just finalizing the order and just practicing it, but have some time. But little sneak peek, it's called Who Am I? But it does relate back to my chapter and the messages I want to share, because who am I is a very powerful question if you ask someone. So okay. I will hold it off there, but a little sneak peek for those who are coming.
Okay, well, thank you, Legend, for joining us, everyone. This has been Legend Thurman. I'm Sally Green, and we are part of Action Takers Publishing, and we are excited to be sharing the upcoming books that we have. Legend, anything you want to say before we go?
Just thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, everyone, these ladies and everyone who are part of these projects and the process are truly wonderful and supportive. And always remember, just because you've always questioned whether you should do something, it's never too late to actually do it. So thank you so much, Sally.
Thank you for joining us today. Bye.